Hi everyone, welcome back to the Stitches and Scribbles channel. My name is Erin and I'm here to do another podcast episode for you today. Just like some of my previous podcasts, this one is a little bit pre-filmed because I'm anticipating starting a full-time sub position very soon. So I'm trying to stay ahead on videos, so it's probably going to be that way for a while, that you'll see things that are a couple weeks old, but that's just how it is right now. I wanted to make sure you still get content. I can talk while I maintain my sanity. So that's just what we're going to do for the foreseeable future. But today I have a topic-based podcast episode. If you haven't seen my previous ones, I've been alternating between kind of a catch-up podcast where I just show you what I'm working on and a topic-based podcast. And since by the time you're seeing this, we will be kind of in that period of sadly starting to think about winter projects instead of fall projects, I thought I'd kind of tell you what some of my fall into winter knitting projects are, my plans for the next couple of months, stuff like that. This will not include my projects that I'm going to do during the month of December, because that is going to be reserved for Vlogmas projects, and I'm going to save talking about those until it's actually time to talk about them during Vlogmas. So this will kind of be my project plans from like November, skipping December, and then like January, February-ish is kind of the goal here. I'm trying to keep my projects for those months very reasonable. My goal is to finish a couple of whips that I already have, as well as to do a couple of items that I could use in my wardrobe. So that's just kind of what we're going with today. So I'm going to start by talking about the whips I want to finish. The biggest of which, not the biggest, but like the one that like I really just need to crank it out and be done, is my Barbie socks. And you might be looking at this and saying, that does not look like a winter project. Those are neon, polka dot, fluorescent socks. But these have been sitting for so long because of the craft fair prep I've been doing and some other big projects that I'm doing for fall. At the time of filming this, I'm still working on my folklore cardigan for the Taylor Swift movie, which today is the 11th, and I am seeing the movie on the 20th, so I'm a little scared at this point that it's not going to be done in time, but we'll see, because I have dedicated like all of next week to working on it. But anyway, that means that these socks have just been sitting. I finished one, and I have the cuff and like part of the leg for the others. I didn't make these insanely tall, but they're definitely not shorty socks. So I definitely need to finish those just so that I have another pair of warm socks to wear for the winter. And these were both made in the Yarn Bee Color Idol in the colors Neon Watermelon and Frosty Mint. I got these on clearance from Hobby Lobby during one of their like big blowout Christmas sales. Clearance sales. At this point, possibly at least 1 year ago, if not 2 or more. So they definitely don't have it anymore. I have not seen that yarn on the shelf since. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Which is kind of a shame, because I actually really liked it. I have a couple more colors on my shelf behind me. I have like the reddish coral, the bright orange, and then another skein of the two skeins of the Frosted Mint back there. So yeah, that is definitely a project that I need to finish. I could probably just knock it out in a weekend, if not a couple of weekday afternoons, if I really put my mind to it. But that might end up being a project that gets scooted more towards the like January, February side of thing, or it'll just become my traveling project for a while because it's so small. One of those two. The other project that it won't be as fast to finish, but I've had it in my whip bin for a while, is this lace crescent shawl that I've been working on. This is in the Yarn Bee Authentic Hand Dyed in the color Hibiscus Palm. They seem to be phasing out their hand dyed yarn, at least at my Hobby Lobby. It's no longer hung in hanks. It's in like little bins. There's not as many colors left. So I don't know if they're permanently getting rid of that or just making way for something similar. I have my little pattern on a sticky note here. Was wondering what that was. But I'm alternating between, it looks really funny when I hold it up on the needles that way. I'm alternating between the lace pattern and the garter pattern. I guess I should show it so that you can actually see what the lace pattern looks like. This is a pretty simple pattern that I got off of a YouTube video. I think it was from a channel called Barbara Knits or something like that, but she does a lot of really good shawl shaping tutorials. As far as how to get certain shapes, she does a lot of simple lace patterns. Just a really good instructional page if you're looking for stuff like that. But I really want to finish this because the colors are very autumnal. I do have 2 full skeins left. I'm probably got a third left of the skein that I'm working on, which seems like a lot of yarn, but these skeins are 400 yards, so I know that if I was like really solidly working on it, it probably wouldn't take me that many days to finish it. But I'm not putting like a deadline for myself on this one because it's also, I don't need more shawls in my wardrobe because I have a lot, but I do really like these colors. I've been really into the like deep burgundies and teals. I've always been into those 2 colors, but I've been leaning more into the burgundy as of late. Burgundy and deep teal green were actually my wedding colors, so I kind of liked that this had both of those colors in there, plus the like very autumnal looking yellow in there. So finishing that shawl is definitely on my to-do list already. Just because I think I would wear it a lot once it's done. Although I'm a little worried about styling a crescent shaped shawl just because I've never had one before that I have liked and kept. I did make one crescent shawl several years ago, I think at this point, and I didn't like how it curled at the ends. I think I have slightly better knitting tension now than I did then, so I'm hoping I won't have that problem. But I am a little worried that I'll get to the end and want to frog the whole thing because I don't like the shape. So that is also kind of playing in the back of my mind, which is a little bit of a scary thought to think about frogging an entire shawl. But even now as I'm looking at it, I can see that like one of the edge that like would go around your neck is really tight, so I'm wondering if that'll cause the ends to curl just like it did last time I made a crescent shawl. So there's a chance that one may come back in a different form now that I'm looking at it. There's a chance it will get frogged, which would be very, very sad, but it's also really hard to see what the shaping of a crescent shawl is going to look like while it's still on the needles because it gets so bunched up with all the stitches on there. But we'll see. Maybe I'll tough it out and try it. The worst that happens is I frog it and then I get to try a new technique on it. So we'll stay positive with that one of we'll try to finish it as is, and if it doesn't work, it doesn't work, and that is okay. So that is my autumnal crescent shaped shawl, which I find the color name for that one really funny, that it's called Hibiscus Palm, because it does not look tropical at all to me. It looks very like dark academia colorways. I guess this would be pretty bright for a dark academia palette, but definitely not giving tropical vibes. So that's that shawl. We might let that one sit a little bit before I dive back into it. Again, at the time of filming, I do still need to finish my folklore cardigan, so that is going to take precedence over at least the next week. Which, speaking of that cardigan, I'm not going to show it because the bin is like upstairs ready to film my next video that I'm going to work on. But that cardigan. It has been on my like goal knitting list for a while to knit a like cream colored cable knit cardigan, the like very classic Irish sweater look. So when the opportunity came up to knit one for the Taylor Swift concert, I decided to dive in and go ahead and do it. So if it doesn't get finished, I won't be like absolutely devastated because that was kind of a hard deadline anyway. However, I kind of just thought it was perfect that, like, as someone who's a new Taylor Swift fan, I don't really know a whole lot about her music. Very much entry-level fan over here. But one of the things that, like, I felt myself kind of drawn to was knowing that there was a cardigan as part of the, like, Taylor Swift fandom clothing situation. So I'm really, really hoping I can finish that. I also just want to be able to wear it for fall and winter because that's a very, like, classic, cozy look. So hopefully I can get that accomplished this week. Wish me luck. You won't actually see the video of that until the 20th, so the vlog of me working on that should come out the day that I'm going to see the Eras Tour movie. So that was a little bit rambly. Let's get back into some actual planned projects. The next one I have is, I got the yarn out over here so that I would remember what I was going to talk about. I bought this yarn very much as an impulse buy one day when I was in Joann because I loved the deep burgundy color. Again, talking about dark burgundy. This is Lion Brand Pound of Love in the color, I never know if this word is pronounced claret or claret. My former French student brain wants to say claret, but I'm pretty sure if people are talking about the wine in English, it said claret. But then the name of it in French is Rouge Bordeaux, which is a different wine. So it's a wine red is basically what we're working with here. I just noticed that the ball band on this is a ruler. Have you noticed that before? That's some very clever design. I did not know that. I wonder if all Lion Brand has that or if it's just the big ones. But anyway, this was on clearance somewhere, although I'm looking at the little sticker that's on it and I'm wondering if I actually got it from Goodwill or from a thrift store and not from Joann, because it has a little blue $6 sticker on it. I bet I actually got this at a thrift store and not at Joann. That's probably what happened. Anyway, actually going to talk about the yarn. So this has over 1,000 yards in each skein and I have 2 of them. So I really wanted to make a cardigan, although I'm looking at the cardigan I had picked out and the yarn itself and wondering if I maybe need to pick a new pattern. So this yarn is labeled as a 4-weight, but it looks really thin for a 4-weight to me. This looks more like a 3-weight in my opinion. It's pretty thin and it also looks the same as other yarns that are sitting near me that I know in fact are a 3-weight. So I will probably just treat this as a 3-weight, which is what I had planned when I picked the pattern. But I want to make a cardigan with this again because I wear cardigans all the time, especially while teaching, just because it's easier to take it off if it gets too hot in the room, or like open it up a little bit more to cool down, or kind of pull it over if it's cold. Old school buildings are notorious for not being very well temperature controlled. But anyway, I found a pattern on Ravelry and I'll make sure to link it in the description box for you. But it's called the Cable Cardigan by Lauren Savage. I'm looking over here because it's up on my computer so that I make sure to say it right. Lauren Savage. Savage is spelled Savidge, and the title is just Cable Cardigan, which I realize makes it a little hard to find. But it's a really beautiful cardigan that looks like it's mostly just stockinette stitch or maybe garter stitch. I'm going to look at the pictures a little closer. Yeah, it's mostly stockinette stitch, but it has cables running down just the opening of the cardigan. So I thought the really simple design would be nice in such a dark jewel tone colorway. The one that she did in the pattern photos is kind of like a beigey cream color, and it looks like it's multiple lace weight yarns held together instead of just a single DK weight yarn. But it's a really beautiful cardigan. I was really scared of doing cardigans in knitting for a while just because of being afraid of like dropping stitches and having to start over or frog or like fix things. Big knitting projects to me are much scarier than big crochet projects, because big crochet projects are a lot easier to just frog back a couple rows and continue on, but big knitting projects, like if you mess up, you have a problem. So, but I'm trying not to be intimidated by cardigans anymore, hence like why I'm also doing the Winter's Beach cardigan as my folklore cable cardigan. So this one seemed a little bit more manageable. I think in an ideal world, I would have done this cable cardigan before doing the Winter's Beach cardigan, just because it only has the single cable instead of an entire like set of charts for cables, because there's so many cable sections. But that's not how it worked out. So I'm gonna try this simpler one and hope that that can be more like relaxing TV knitting than the big cardigan that I was working on. So that one, even though it does still have the cables and it is still a cardigan, it looks a lot simpler. And I can see in the construction that there are sections where I will be working mostly in stockinette, except for that little cable section at the front edges. So I'm really excited to work on that. That one I want to start right away as soon as I'm done with the Winter's Beach cardigan, which, if I forgot to specifically say this, I know I've said it in other podcasts, but I am using the pattern for the Winter's Beach cardigan by Andrea Mowry as my folklore cardigan for the Taylor Swift concert, because I didn't want to use the actual folklore pattern because I wanted to make sure that the sweater was still wearable after the concert. So I just picked one that was close but not exactly the same. But I would like to start the red or the like burgundy cable cardigan as soon as I'm done with the cream colored one, with the hopes that this could be done in time for Christmas, or at least the like post Christmas into New Year's time frame. So that one might actually be a Vlogmas project. So I guess I kind of lied at the beginning when I said I wouldn't be talking about Vlogmas. But there's a chance that that project will bleed from November into December. So that it is what it is. If I have one layover project from November into December, that's probably fine. The next project that I want to do was actually something that I bought the yarn a while ago knowing that I would want to make a cardigan out of it because it just looked very fun. But it took me a long time kind of thinking about how I wanted to do it, what I wanted the cardigan to look like before I decided on what I think I want it to be. And this is going to like take a lot of explanation to explain what I want, because I couldn't find a pattern that matched exactly what I want. So here we go. I got the Lion Brand Mandala bonus bundle, 2 of them, in the color Sasquatch. These also have over 1,000 yards in them. It's labeled as lightweight 3. This is the one where I thought it looked kind of the same as the Pound of Love in terms of weight, so I'm going to treat that one as a 3. And I specifically picked 2 skeins that did not have matching centers, which is the opposite of what people usually do. Usually, if you have yarn cakes like this, you try to find 2 that have the most similar color pattern to them. So like if I had picked this one, I should have looked for one that also started with orange in the center. But I didn't do that because I wanted to create something where I was alternating between the 2 cakes so that you would get a striping effect where the colors from one cake never lined up with the same color in the other cake, if that makes sense. So like if I'm starting from the center for both of these, I'll be working with orange from this one and blue from this one. And in theory, the colors should never line up so that the same color is coming out of both cakes at the same time. That was a complicated explanation. Originally, I thought that I would just do a granny hexagon cardigan or something simple, but I think what I actually want to do is a mosaic knit cardigan, and this is where I couldn't find a pattern that matched exactly what I wanted to do with these. So I think what I'm going to do is use the shaping guide and structure from the Winter's Beach cardigan, which even though it has tons of cables, the shaping of it is very simple. There's no, at least I don't think, I should look back at the pattern before I fully commit to this, but I don't think there's any shaping for the shoulders where it comes in. It's a pretty boxy fit cardigan. So everything is rectangles, which is what I wanted for that cardigan, but I think will also work well for this. So I'm thinking I can use the stitch count from that pattern and do plain 1x1 or 2x2 ribbing for the bottom of the cardigan, and then be able to knit the cardigan shape-wise with the mosaic knit design that I want to use, which was a very complicated explanation, but because it's a boxy fit cardigan, I won't have to worry about adjusting the mosaic pattern for increases and decreases is what I'm trying to do. So I'll be kind of on the lookout for a mosaic knitting motif that uses both colors about equally, because I don't want to run out of one cake before the other one. I want them to be about the same. So I'll do the bottom ribbing with one cake, do my mosaic design for the body of the cardigan and for the sleeves, and use the other cake for the cuffs on both sleeves and maybe like an applied border to the like the inner side of the front panels and the neckline, I think is what the plan is. That was a lot of detail for that project. I'm making myself cough. I'm still not entirely over that cold. I joked in a previous podcast episode that it was going to look like I had the same cold for 4 weeks, but I think I actually might, because the like last little bit of the throat issues just will not go away. And I talked to other teachers at my school who got the same cold, and they're all in the same boat, and it makes it really hard when you are a full-time teacher and talking to your class all the time, or you're doing what I'm doing where you alternate between talking to kids all day and talking to a camera all day. So hopefully at some point my voice will get enough of a break that I can recover from whatever this is. It's not really bothering me that much anymore. I only notice it if I've been talking for long periods of time, or if I'm like running up the stairs too fast or something like that. I'll feel it like start to tickle again, but otherwise it's been pretty okay. But yeah, I'm ruining my voice again by doing a podcast episode, but it's okay, I promise. So yeah, these yarns will probably be a mosaic knit cardigan. This will probably be more of a post Vlogmas project. I feel like I'll probably want to start something fun and colorful in like January, February-ish. So whoa. So this will be a good project for that. I liked this colorway because even though it is kind of rainbowy, they're very dusty rainbow tones, which are colors that I find that I like how they look on me. I tend to like dark, like autumnal jewel tones, or like kind of dusty grayish, brownish mid-tones to pastels. That's just kind of the color palette that I feel the most comfortable in. using today's outfit as an example, where I have lots of earthy greens and yellows, which are kind of in both categories of the like fall colors, but also the like dusty colors. Anyway, that was another side tangent. The last project that I have on my list is kind of a winter, fall, winter, whichever thing, is to use these two skeins of yarn that I purchased from the Sheep and Wool Festival here in Wisconsin. These are from Bumblebee Acres Fiber Farms, and this is their Bubble Sock, which is 80% superwash merino wool, 20% silk, and this is from their Lord of the Rings inspired collection, and the colorway is called Bag End. Again, we got the deep burgundy, the teal, the greens, and the yellows for fall colors. I loved this colorway as soon as I saw it. I was absolutely geeking out over it, and also the name of it is just perfect because I can see like all of the like colors of the fields in the Shire and the green leaves and the green for Bilbo's door. So I just absolutely love this colorway. I think for this I have two schools of thought on what I want to do with this. The first one is kind of my old standby, is to do a circle scarf stockinette knit in a tube, very similar to this, although I can't remember if I actually knit this in a tube or if I did it with double stockinette stitch, but same idea, flat knit or knit in the round stockinette infinity scarf, because I have a lot of them, but I wear them a lot. It's also easy knitting. My other thought for this yarn is to do something a little bit more lightweight with it so that it can be slightly more of a transitional piece from winter to spring or from like summer to fall next year, because I think this color palette kind of works with both of those seasons. And that could be doing a kind of lacy scarf. I don't think I have enough here to do a full shawl with it because there's 400 yards in each one. But I could do kind of a more open work lace scarf and see how long it gets, and maybe then it could also be a shawl, who knows. But if I do something kind of lighter weight, that might make it a better transitional piece and also a little bit different from stuff that I already have in my me-made wardrobe. So that might be kind of the direction I'm leaning for this. This yarn I also kind of had in mind as it could be a Vlogmas project if I finish all of my other planned Vlogmas projects, but in reality this will probably also be more of a mid to late winter project, not a December project. So that is the last of my knitting plans. There are probably going to be other like one-day makes sprinkled in here and there throughout that season. As of right now, my long-term sub spot ends in February, but I just accepted another one that would start in March. So I did not leave myself a lot of room there to have more video time, but that's okay. I'm really excited about both of them. And excited to be kind of back to full-time in the classroom, but not really, because it's still not my classroom and I'm still not going to be with the same grade for the whole year. But it does mean that the amount of knitting time is going to look different than it has been the last 2 years. I also just realized that all of those projects I just named were all knit, which is also kind of new for me. I feel like I've been more in a knitting mood than a crochet mood the last couple months. I don't know if that's because I like overloaded myself on doing market prep, which is mostly crochet because of all of the plushies that I make, or if I'm just feeling more adventurous as a knitter as of late. One of those two things. But either way, I'm excited for all of those knitting projects coming up. And excited just to have more cardigans in my wardrobe that I made. Although I am leaning a little bit more into the wearable colors now than I used to be. I do have quite a few like very neon cardigans in my closet, which is kind of an odd choice for me because I don't really wear neons that much. I really like buying neon and brightly colored yarn, but I struggle to wear it because it's not the colors that I like the most. But that's a topic for a different podcast, talking about color theory and all of that stuff. So we're going to end the podcast here. Thanks for joining me to talk about all things upcoming projects. I hope you enjoyed what you heard. If you did, and you haven't already, make sure you hit the subscribe button down below so that you can be notified of all of my crafty content here on YouTube. I post podcasts right now once a week, as well as weekly vlogs, tutorials, project ideas, whatever it may be on Fridays. And if you want to follow me on other social media, that information will also be in the description box below. I'm trying to be more active on both Instagram and TikTok. It's a lot harder for me than being active on YouTube for some reason. But I'm trying my best to post more frequently in those two places as well. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everyone.